afternoon. We are here in Athens. It is the fourth day of the Green Energy Ohio statewide electric vehicle tour. I can't believe it's gone so quickly. We've covered so much ground and talked to so many people and learned so much. I know I've learned a lot just driving an electric vehicle for the first time. So we are at the Community Center here in Athens, and I'm going to introduce a Green Energy Ohio board member and friend for a long time. Sarah Conley-Blue is with Rural Action, and she will be introducing the mayor.
Thanks, Jane. It's wonderful to welcome you to our fair city of Athens. We've been excited to be part of this tour. The Green Energy Ohio EV Tour is an excellent way for our state to recognize and represent a lot of wonderful projects. Excited that the city of Athens can be a part of that. Our work has been, years in the making, and seeing the progress that has come out of it has been wonderful. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce our fair mayor. Steve, please come up here. Mayor Patterson, I do not have an intro for you per se, other than to just say the finest mayor in the land. Excellent representative of the region and advocate for all of the clean energy work we've been doing.
Thank you, Sarah. And that was not a paid advertisement.
Not at all.
Thanks, Sarah. And yes, as Sarah just mentioned, Athens has always been known for pushing the envelope on a number of different things, and most notably with all of you here today. Gosh, it must be a year ago or more, actually a lot more than a year ago, to where we received our first fast charge charging station here in the city of Athens, which has really complemented this part of the city because this is one of our major retail corridors. It's not too far from 33, so strategically it was perfect to have that aligned with getting people who might need to get a bump for their EV, and hopefully they're here long enough to experience the city of Athens, or maybe they're from Athens and just kind of cutting across town knowing that they can be charging up as well. The city of Athens, since I took office in 2016, I was on a mission to where I knew that we had a rather large fossil fuel fleet. And I started with our code enforcement office, who had several Impalas, they had several Crown Victorias, they had some pretty inefficient vehicles, and we started there first, to where we started replacing a lot of those vehicles with EVs. They happen to be Nissan Leafs, where that department has 3 EVs, so we've gotten a lot of fossil fuel off the road. We're sitting in the community center. The community center also purchased an EV for replacing one of their fossil fuel vehicles, and then the director for engineering and public works replaced one of their vehicles with an EV, and I've pretty much mandated this to happen. Right now, we were fortunate enough to get an audit program through Clean Fuels Ohio to do a full-blown all-vehicle assessment as to what could be replaced, what should be replaced. And we're going to take that and working with Enterprise to look at a leased vehicle fleet, because we identified about 56 vehicles that we could be replacing in the not too distant future and have those become EVs as well. We have a long ways to go with that. That's kind of my goal and my mission right now, is to just continue to reduce our carbon emissions here in the city of Athens and the city government, and continue down the EV road as we move forward, no pun intended. Another thing just to share, if I may, is that we've been pretty diligent as well with having solar be a major initiative here in the city of Athens. At the water treatment plant, we have a 178 kilowatt solar array down there, and most recently, we also have a microgrid that accompanies that, where AEP has a microgrid pilot program. Currently, they have a program, a test case up in the Columbus Zoo. The city of Athens has become the second such test case in the state of Ohio. So we're excited about that. It's feeding directly off the solar array down there. And in the evenings, when there's no sun, it's feeding back into the plant. So we're going to see some really interesting data coming out of that particular project. Also planning for a 2.5 minimum megawatt solar array, not too far from where we're standing right now, which would service the community center, the wastewater treatment plant, our second largest energy consumer in the city of Athens, and some of the other government buildings that are nearby. So again, you know, more and more to come here in the city of Athens. But from an EV standpoint, like I said, I think we have big goals, big aspirations for doing the best that we can to have be good stewards of this planet.
Could you talk a little bit about the fee that was passed some years ago? The first, certainly the first in Ohio, and one of the first anywhere, I believe, in the country, to allow city government to give them the funding that you need to make these improvements.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We're pretty proud of that as well. I think the citizens are proud of that. 76% of them voted in favor of a ballot initiative, which, yes, we're the first community in the United States to have a ballot initiative to go forward to have a carbon fee that people, you know, what it basically boils down to in terms of the amount is no different. It's about $1.60 to $1.80 a month extra on their utility bill. It's less than a cup of coffee. And that money does go into an account line through Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council. It's dedicated to the city of Athens, and that money can be used for solar projects on municipal buildings. The interesting thing is it's not just city municipal, but we're the county seat, so it can be on county government in the city of Athens, or it can be on something such as the public library. Well, the public library already has a nice solar array on there, so I don't think they'll be asking anytime soon. But no, this was a pretty big deal. This was passed in 2018. And we're pretty much on track with what we thought it would generate in terms of revenue, and it's one of the ways that we think we're going to be able to fund the 2.5 megawatt solar arrays by using a portion of that allotment, or that fee.
I think I saw on the website it's up to $75,000.
It is.
83,000.
Oh my goodness.
83,000.
Thank you, man. 83,000.
Yeah.
In a few months, hopefully. That's right.
It does.
The city and the county, there are so many local governmental units in Ohio. There's townships and counties and municipalities. Does everybody work well together down here? Is it a good relationship?
I think that we do. To give you an example, we had a meeting this morning. It's the Regional Planning Commission, and that meeting kind of speaks well to what you referred to. It has township trustees, not all of them, but township trustees usually come. We have the county commissioners that are there. I'm there. You know, county and city planners are there. And it becomes a space in which we can talk about challenges that are going on within the city or in the county, but also ways in which we can help each other. You know, I don't think we're unique at all, but I do think that at this point in time, the county electeds, you know, do work really well together. There's another group that I belong to. I'm the president of the Mayor's Partnership for Progress, which is the mayors of 18 Appalachian counties, going from Tuscarawas up north to Lawrence down south, all the way from Meigs to Highland County outside Cincinnati. And, you know, that's another great example of, you know, basically, you know, I wouldn't even say bipartisan, it's nonpartisan. I mean, it's mayors coming together knowing that we're where the rubber hits the road. We've got to solve problems. But we also like to tout our successes. And so that, knowing the mayors that we just had that meeting today as well, is that, you know, it goes beyond counties. You know, I think that a lot of the Appalachian areas within the state of Ohio, the 32 counties that, by and large, they're all ready to roll up their sleeves and help when they can, you know, throughout, from county to county.
So those mayors are just Ohio, or is that a broader, are there mayors from
I
others?
would love to see it grow someday, but no, they're just the state of Ohio.
Well, because I've been asked, you know, where do you see the best prospects for clean energy and I say at the local level, every time. And the private sector. I think a lot of private companies, corporations are stepping up. And that is great. But I think and from a governmental perspective, I think the local level is where the majority of the good work is being done right now.
I agree with you. There is another organization that's worth mentioning, and it's Reimagine Appalachia. And that is a group where it is multi-state jurisdictionally. It is, and I'm just going to hit some of the areas. Mayor Peduto of Pittsburgh, Mayor Steve Williams of Huntington, West Virginia. We have Mayor Tito Brown out of Youngstown, myself, Mayor Cranley of Cincinnati, Mayor Whaley of Dayton, the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky. So it's the way we're all talking and communicating when it comes to alternative energy and technologies is where all of us have kind of come together thinking, let's flip the Marshall Plan from 1947 to where we were helping Europe come back out of the devastation that occurred during World War II, and kind of think, let's reinvest back into the Ohio Valley, but that reinvestment is going to be alternative energies and alternative energy technologies. My dream would be to see something in Youngstown or in Huntington. I'd like to keep Ohio-centric, right? I don't care where it's at, but for wind turbine production, I feel like that got stalled and actually deviated from some time ago. And part of our intent is to start. Let's get this out there again, and let's get investment back into the Ohio Valley. But let's do it smartly with alternative energy projects as opposed to fossil fuel projects.
Because obviously the environmental message is a very strong one, but the economic message is equally strong, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. Is that especially for a region like Appalachia to bring the kinds of economic revitalization that can come with these technologies. And that message appeals to, hopefully, as we said, bipartisan. It should appeal across the board.
It really should. Something else to share that I'm pretty proud of is that with the Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, they were probably among the first to have, as an electric irrigation, one of the first to have a 100% green product that citizens could be using. And you're going to pay a little bit more when you're looking at price to compare, but the thing that people I think are pretty savvy. I'll stick to Athens. I think a lot of our citizens kind of understand and get it that the carbon impacts, and by having a 100% green product and wanting it, they know that if I am paying a few cents more for that, that's not the issue. The issue is you're reducing how many tons of carbon emissions by using something like that. And everyone in Athens, I think, or most people in Athens, they recognize that price. You can certainly monetize it, but I don't think they think of it that way. They just think, this is the right thing to be doing. And so, you have to keep that in mind, that if you're doing anything to reduce your carbon emissions, that there's value to that. You can monetize that quite easily. We're talking about removing, megatons of carbon from the environment.
Anybody else have questions? Sarah, do you have any questions?
Yes.
I was wondering, because a lot of areas of Appalachia now has some of the more extraction project stuff begins to decline in some areas. A lot of areas like this is occasionally in West Virginia, and I know Northern Pennsylvania is doing this, have moved more towards ecotourism and a lot of utilizing the natural beauty of the Appalachian Mountains for hiking, biking, vacationing. Is that going on
In terms of ecotourism,
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of ecotourism going on here. And there's recently even some athletic ecotourism that I would claim that's going on here within the Bailey Trail system, which is currently 26 miles of mountain bike trail with variable skills trails. There's another 5 that's currently under construction, but at the end of the day, we're looking to have 88 miles of mountain bike trail here in Athens County. And I believe that that's going to be one of the largest mountain bike trail systems this side of the Mississippi River. I might want to fact check that, but it's significant. And what we're seeing is a lot of people come from not just across the state of Ohio, but across border states that come here and ride on that trail system. You know, we live in the Hocking Hills, and it's just absolutely stunning here from just a natural resource aspect. And keep this in mind too, that you know we border the Wayne National Forest. A lot of the Wayne National Forest lands were former extraction lands that the National Forest started just purchasing to let them rest, you know, to not do mineral extraction from. That sometimes gets complicated, but all the same, you know, if you think about it, the Bailey Trail system, a lot of that was former coal mine lands, and so now it's being brought back as a form of ecotourism.
We visited a bike shop in Worcester, electric bikes.
Oh.
And electric bikes are very big on mountain trails because it gives you that assist, obviously, if you're not a world-class athlete. Electric, and they said, I think they said, they're like 30% of the bicycle market now, and increasing. Especially as people get older and they have arthritis or whatever, but even young people love electric bikes too. So that fits right in, but you have to have charging somewhere for the electric bikes.
Now, and I will say that, you know, we've got a few level 2 charging stations around the city. We have businesses that have them as well. We've got the DC fast charge here at the community center. That said, we've got a lot of room for growth, and we need to continue on this mission. I just mentioned, you know, if I have 56 EVs for the city, we're really going to have to amp up where we have more DC fast charge. Now, granted, a lot of them, you know, will be in operation between 8 and 4 p.m., and then they'll go back to wherever they're housed and plug into an L2. But you know, I see further need for more DC fast charges here in the city of Athens. We're exploring putting one in the uptown area. The city of Athens doesn't have a downtown; we have an uptown, the city owns a historic armory building, and that's a site that I would like to put a DC fast charge, which not only for personal EVs, but we're soon to have our first EV bus. And in talking with the Athens Public Transit, that particular site would work out well to where a bus could hop on, charge quickly there, and then get back on one of its multiple routes. Or, again, we've already told them that we can dedicate times during the day to where that bus can pull in. It would be the only vehicle able to use it for a time frame, and then once they pull off, then it's open back up for public use. But we know that we need way more fast charge services.
What about the university? How is it? Do they embrace this as well as the community does, or have they not done quite as much?
If I were to say whether enough,
Carefully.
no, and we're good partners with the university, and have been. I think our relationship with Ohio University and the city of Athens is stronger than it's ever been. They actually beat us. They had more. I think there were L2s that they had, so they've got multiple level 2 charging stations. They've got some at Peden Stadium. They've got some down near their HR building. I can't remember what it's called, but down on West Union. They might have some others that I'm not thinking of right now, but they have. And I think they are very cognizant of the need I don't know what their EV fleet looks like
I
right
was gonna
now.
say, is that for their fleet or is that for students, visitors, professors?
I believe it's open for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's open to.
Yeah. Because universities, I know, I teach classes occasionally and I'm asked students, how many of you drive an electric vehicle? And not quite as many do yet. And of course, they're very expensive. And they have the infrastructure issues and all of that, but hopefully, as young people graduate and start making money, they will invest in products that help save the environment.
Well, and we, as I mentioned, I think we're good partners, the city and the university. To where I used to be faculty at Ohio University for 18 years before becoming mayor and living my life 4 years at a time. I really have opened up the city to the university. If they've got research projects through the College of Engineering or through chemistry or wherever, and they want to try and kind of pilot some things, I'm always open to that. There's a really interesting project that just came across my desk this morning. And it's a project where there's a professor that wants to look at our settling tanks here at the wastewater treatment plant, and they've got a process by which they can remove a significant portion of the nitrogen and phosphorus from that and use that for energy, which is really pretty fascinating too. So, and I said, can we do this? Can we start pulling samples from your wastewater treatment plant? Especially for something like this, it makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
That's great. That is cooperation. What about corporate or business? I guess small businesses. Athens has a lot of small businesses, and a lot of them are very committed to sustainability. So I'm assuming that your office works closely with all of them as well.
We do. I think we certainly do. I think equally, the Athens Hocking Recycling Center works closely with our businesses. We've got, I say it's successful composting program, where it's a curbside composting program that's part of what the city has to offer, along with group trash and water and sewer and whatnot. But and I think that they have worked well with other businesses when it comes to composting, compostable materials. The university has one of the largest composting vessels, or it used to be anyway. They've been doing some really great work at the university. But for businesses, yes. And we also have some really wonderful businesses here in Athens. I'll give a shout out to Third Sun Solar, which is, I believe, 30 years old now. And Third Sun and Jeff Greenfield and his team are constantly doing some really, really marvelous things. One great example local is the Federal Hocking School that has I was just with George Wood last night and talking about the solar array that they have down there. It was one of his last projects, and got it across the finish line. And again, that was in collaboration with Third Sun. So we have, here's something else too, that's kind of an interesting factoid, is that in Athens County, we have more residential solar than any other county in the state of Ohio, which is kind of a really fascinating.
That is amazing.
It is amazing.
And Third Sun is a very good friend of Green Energy Ohio. Michelle was board president one time, and Jeff and Michelle have been great partners for us. Yes.
There's a question back here.
Yeah. I was just thrilled that you mentioned reimagining Appalachia, because I try to follow that a lot. So much of this is going to come down to the infrastructure bill that's been proposed. Senator Martin Heimer from New Mexico has also got a bill based on rewiring America, which would encourage the development of residential solar efficient energy appliances, stuff like that. It's something I've been following pretty closely too, because that's where an awful lot of jobs can be created. So a lot of this is going to come down to legislation, and I know that reimagining Appalachia, I've actually talked to Mayor Williams. I'm from Ireland.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
I wonder if question is, are you guys actively involved in lobbying, trying to, there's a particular senator from the state not very far from here, who may be pivotal in all this? Mayor Williams, I hope, has been talking down.
I'm sure that he has, and yes, I
Yeah, I just
understand.
wonder if you guys, because I'm getting a little worried. I just wonder if, you know.
Well, Steve Williams is a good friend of mine. We have each other on speed dial and communicate back and forth quite a bit. We do lobby. Both Mayor Williams and I are, I was formerly on the board of directors for the National League of Cities. I'm still involved on other committees within NLC, strong advocate for NLC. Again, National League of Cities is an amazing organization of 19,000 communities across the nation, representing 19,000. So, you know, with Mayor Williams, Mayor Peduto, Mayor Tito Brown, we're all lobbying, you know, to get this across the finish line. And if it means making a phone call to that individual over in our neighbors across the river, absolutely.
Very good. Any others? Sure.
So I think often about, you know, we are setting in motion the foundation for, you know, a future for our community that, you know, is viable, sustainable, hopefully economically prosperous, right? These are all the reasons to do this work. So I'm just curious, when you think 10 years down the line, when we may have a federal fleet of U.S. Postal Service vehicles, we may have, you know, all city vehicles from, you know, the passenger up to the heavy fleet, all of those running electric or hydrogen or, you know, on a non-fossil fuel source. And I mean, when you're making these decisions today, are you looking at that? Are you thinking, I'm doing this because far after you finally retire and say, you know, this community's in the next mayor's hands, you know, how are you, do you think on those terms, and what do you picture? What do you see 10 years from now, after we've started this ball rolling?
Well, much like you, Sarah, likely, every morning when I wake up and I look into the two pairs of eyes of my own daughters who are 9 years old, twins, that's what I see. You know, I see them at the age of 19 and picking up and hopefully learning from their father and continuing to carry that banner moving forward. Because I would say that everything that I am doing right now, Sarah, is for the next generations and the next generations to come. And if we don't start it now, then we're failing them. We're failing our children, our children's children. You know, we would totally be failing. And that's why I think the Reimagine Appalachia is extremely important. I think that everything that we're doing here in the city, and I do have those moments, I'm not gonna lie, as a mayor, to where I'm so proud of everything that we've been able to accomplish here, but then I look beyond and I don't see the same going on in other locations, and you know, so while I am the mayor of Athens, I find myself being, you know, advocating on every possible front that I can, you know, whether it's through the Mayor's Partnership for Progress, it's the National League of Cities, it's the International Town and Gown Association, whatever it is, you know, saying the same things over and over and over again. You know, if we don't have clean air and we don't have clean water, we're destroying ourselves.
I want to thank you very much for being here. You are our fourth mayor. We heard from Mayor Whaley and Mayor Cranley and Mayor Weiss up in Shaker Heights. And it reinforces what I said earlier about this is where progress is being made at the local level. With elected officials like you and who understand the need. And who are able, and you're able to articulate it to your constituents and to your partners. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thinking to myself,